the big upward moves are the impulsive moves and then a pullback, impulsive move and pullback, right? And this is true during hyperinflation as well. Don't just because prices are increasing, that doesn't mean that people don't think, oh my god, it's now it's over and it's gonna stop, and then people sell, or even if they don't sell, the market kind of stagnates. So the turns might not be this sharp, right? But this is true to everything in hyperinflation. Everything gets its turn, basically, so to say, in hyperinflation. And I mentioned usually it's raw materials first, then stuff made from the raw materials, eventually housing, then food, and so on. And almost the very last thing, it's salaries, and even they will increase, right? So let's just say this would be raw materials for buildings, right? Copper, wood, and so on. Then housing would start. Eventually, housing starts to increase. The same thing happening, right? And this would be houses, right? Very similar patterns. Of course, they're not always this clean, and the waves could be much more messy, but you kind of get what's happening. But there's a delay between here, right? And then food prices would be increasing. Right, something like that. And then salaries. And usually salaries is not as steep as the rest, and it's always late. And there's a delay here between houses and salaries, right? And I kind of over exaggerated the delay here because I put food in here, but usually what happens is the second wave of the housing, let me redraw this a little bit. So let's just care about housing. And then salaries. Something like that. Now, the timing is not always exact, but just logically speaking, the second wave of the housing cannot start, or usually doesn't start, until salaries have increased. Because who are buying the houses in a normal scenario? It's people, right? And prices of houses might actually have to come back before salaries increase. Before the second wave of housing starts again, right? Because salaries needs to increase because people are buying houses, right? Now, what's happening in the US, I kind of stumbled me as well. Like, it kind of made my models to be updated, because I wouldn't have thought that big companies would be moving into regular single family homes this fast and with such force. I've seen similar things in Romania with foreign investors, but usually they're actually late. They're late to it, because as a foreign investor, you might not know, which city is a good city to buy houses in Uruguay, right, or Argentina, or somewhere else, right? So they actually do their research, they move, and then kind of make it up. But now, I guess these huge companies are domestic, and they already know what they're doing. So I would have predicted there's a bigger delay, right? But one thing that people are talking about, and this is inflation adjusted, I believe.